Want to welcome to the program right now the Sheriff of Milwaukee County, Wisconsin, Sheriff David Clarke. Sheriff, how are you, sir?
Fantastic, Cam. Thanks for having me on.
It's my pleasure. I really appreciate it. There was this column in Esquire, Charles Pierce, talking about the brutal murder and the cold-blooded, cowardly murders of two Las Vegas police officers over the weekend, the murder of a armed citizen as well. And Charles Pierce wants to know why more police officers are not speaking out about gun control. He said, quote, "Why are there not 1 million police officers on the National Mall right now today demanding that the Congress and the rest of the political elite take even the most gingerly steps towards disenthralling the country from its insane devotion to firearms?" He says there's been some movement, but do you know where some of these police officers are? Spectacularly, he says some of them are on the other side. Tragically, he writes, the paranoid gun culture nurtured by the NRA, the Gun Owners Action League, and their pet politicians has leached into the law enforcement apparatus, especially, he says, at the level of the local sheriff's offices. So, Sheriff Clarke, I just got to ask you, sir, what do you think about Charles Pierce's premise?
Well, first of all, Cam, my thoughts and prayers go out to the families of the slain officers in the Clarke County Sheriff's Office. And unlike Charles Pierce, I'll acknowledge that I only know as much about this senseless act as reported by the local newspaper. But here's what chaps my rear end about this. The police have not even had a chance to grieve and bury their dead officers, and this insensitive bastard, pardon my language, named Charles Pierce, wastes no time exploiting the tragedy for the anti-gun, anti-NRA agenda. I'm trying to figure out how this guy sleeps at night. Now he's blaming the police for not opposing law-abiding citizens' rights to belong to an organization like the National Rifle Association. I know, and police officers all across America know, that gun control laws will not end senseless murder and violence. And, who is this coward to tell me, an NRA member myself, that I'm a traitor to my uniform? I, Cam, would be a traitor to my uniform if I did not uphold the Constitution of the United States that I took an oath to do, and that includes defending people's rights under the Second Amendment. Now, this incident had nothing to do with gun control or the NRA, and this guy named Charles Pierce, he knows it. He callously seized on it for self-serving attention. This is the same cabal that shamelessly used grieving parents from Sandy Hook massacre to further their anti-gun agenda. Pierce's gun control rhetoric is politically motivated, and it's downright dangerous.
Talking with Sheriff David Clarke from Milwaukee County, Wisconsin. He says, put plainly, after the events of the past 5 days, any police officer who drives himself home at night in the family sedan with the NRA sticker in the back window is a traitor to the uniform. And as you say, I don't think Charles Pierce is, I could be wrong about this, I don't think he's worn the uniform, but that is I got to tell you, Sheriff, I mean, that's a charge that if you're going to make that to somebody, I wonder, did you get a call from Mr. Pierce at all? Did he seek a quote from you by chance for this column?
Of course he did. Of course I didn't, and of course he wouldn't. He knows better than that. I get accused of a lot of things, and law enforcement officers all across this country put on a badge and uniform every day and go out and serve their community, put their lives at risk every day, not knowing if they're going to come back, like those officers that were slain in Clarke County, were slain in Seattle, Washington not too long ago, and other areas throughout the country. And this guy stands on the sideline, and all he does is chirp away with a political agenda. What he's advocating is that law enforcement officers should leave their post, abdicate their oath to serve and protect their community, and engage in an emotional and nothing more than symbolic reaction of a march on Washington, D.C. This might make the anti-Second Amendment people feel good, but while cops abandon their posts to engage in some sort of symbolic rally, criminals all across the country will have free rein to rape, rob, and pillage their local communities. Now, how smart is that? But again, Cam, and this is important, cops get blamed for a lot of things. We get called a lot of things, some of the nastiest names, especially as the sheriff of Milwaukee County, by the left here and by the anti-gun and anti-Second Amendment folks here in my own county. some of the names and the rhetoric they use is just totally shameful. But I say to them, you can call me a lot of things, but one thing you cannot call me without foundation, without fact, it's a traitor, corrupt, and some of these other things that they use, because I am upholding my oath to support the Constitution of the United States. And it doesn't come a la carte. The Second Amendment is part of the Bill of Rights, part of the amendment to the original Constitution. And just because some people don't like that is no reason for a law enforcement officer to pick and choose which parts of the Constitution that they support, which parts of the Constitution they'll uphold, and which parts they will not. When law enforcement officers and executives like myself engage in that sort of behavior, then we have become traitors to our badge and to our oath. And like I said, that won't happen as long as I'm the sheriff of Milwaukee County.
Sheriff David Clarke, again, the sheriff of Milwaukee County, Wisconsin. Thank you so much, sir, for coming on the program. I hope that we can talk again very soon.
Cam, it's always my pleasure. ThePeoplesSheriff.com if people want to hear more about this.
Thank you, sir.